the Israel-Iran thing going on is a complete disaster. And for most of my regular followers, you know that I don't generally go into politics because I find it boring. I tend to stick with more principle-related or financial-related or even philosophical-related topics, but I'm making an exception for this one. This is ridiculous. It's so obvious what's happening here. Woodrow Wilson, for example, the former president Woodrow Wilson, you can look him up, campaigned specifically on not getting the U.S. involved in the European theater at the time, because there was a war going on. We call it World War I now, but back then it was just the European theater. It was just kind of some wars between countries over there. And his campaign was specifically, we are not getting involved in that. And he won based on this, and then hauled off and got the U.S. involved in World War I, which caused all of the problems, if you follow the history, that we are dealing with today. Everything from the Federal Reserve to the Middle East. Like, I'm not kidding. That's how far back the roots are. It goes back to Wilson. Wilson effectively doomed the country. And I'm not just trying to shit all over Wilson. I mean, he's been gone for a long time, so there's really kind of no point, but it's still, this is the problem with these kinds of things. Americans are not benefited by this at all. The average American is absolutely 100% not benefited by any of this, any of our involvement. And somehow we have to always pay for this, and we're always the ones that have to get involved with these kinds of things. Nobody in America is benefited by this, except for maybe a handful of oligarchs that make a little money off of the war profiting. So I wonder how the Orange administration is going to go down in history, because frankly, no, I don't approve of the Orange administration and haven't for many, many years. I called it back in, I don't know, about a year ago. I called this and I said, yeah, this is probably what's going to end up happening here, is that we're going to get, not this specifically, but like that the Orange man is just basically going to lie to everybody, tell them everything they want to hear, because that's how con men work. Con men tell you everything you want to hear, and then you never read the fine print until it's too late. That's how a really successful con works. They tell you absolutely everything you want to hear, and then you're like, yeah, let's do this. And then you get into it and you find out, oh, there's a fee for this and a fee for that. Or maybe they just take your money and run. And then you never see them again. Well, that's what this is. And I've done a few MAGAvention, videos where I've talked about MAGAholism, and that it has become a big problem for a lot of people. And I think that some of you are about to hit bottom on this and realize that, dude, this is a fucking disaster to be involved in this. This is not our problem. And I don't care about any of these countries. I'm not saying that I don't care about the people that are there. Dude, no, the average like Israeli citizen probably doesn't want any of this either. Same thing with the average Iranian system. They want no part of this. They're like, dude, all of this sucks. Yeah, this is the problem, of course, with your elites, your oligarchs, your ruling class. That when you let people get to this point, they go insane. It's called mass psychosis. They go nuts. They start to think of themselves as gods, and that everybody else are just their little pawns to do whatever the hell they want. It's really sad and pathetic, but it happens all the time, historically speaking. So in the US, you were supposed to have a Second Amendment, for example, which it wasn't supposed to regulate certain types of arms, it was to regulate certain types of government. that the founders kind of knew that this would happen. That elites tend to get really full of themselves. They start to think of themselves as lesser gods, if not God himself, and they do crazy shit like this. They all start getting to fighting with each other with everybody else's lives and money. I hate to say it, but like Thunderdome actually is a better idea. Like every year I get, just the older I get, like Thunderdome is probably a better idea. You know, round up all these elites and let them fight it. Like, dude, they can end their lives if they want. They don't need to take everybody else with them. I mean, I'm really starting to think that that might be the case. You know, let these old bastards beat each other up. These guys are all ancient. Most of these people are like they're all in their 70s and 80s, and they're delusional now because they're too far detached from reality. They don't have to live with any of this stuff. We do. We have to put up with all of it. All right, it's just like the limousine liberals that are all about, oh, let's do more immigration. Like, yeah, you don't have to deal with that. You live in a gated community in a $2 million house or a $5 million house or something like that. It's everybody in poor neighborhoods who has to deal with all that. That's fucked up. You know, it's all of us out here in the real world. We're the ones who have to deal with all that. We're the ones that, you know, that have to deal with wages that continually go down. You know, they don't even hold up with inflation. Inflation just eats everybody alive. So, anyway, I don't know what to say. I don't know how there's any approval for any of this. I think if you talk to the average American, they probably would say, dude, yeah, this is a bad idea. This is a really fucking bad idea. And yet somehow we're going to see every mental gymnastic in the world. And fucking boomers, man. You guys, fucking boomers. You have got to stop watching these television programs. The Glenn Becks and all these guys that are doing every mental gymnastic in the world to try and make all this make sense when it doesn't. There is nothing good that is going to come out of this.